Like many, my eating disorder can be traced back to my childhood. Between my mom having her own history of eating disorders and the constant messages I received from the media, I was acutely aware of what my body should look like and how it didn't match that image. One of my earliest memories was feeling like it was my fault when the clothes we'd ordered from catalogs fit too tightly and needed to be sent back. Growing up in remote Alaska, in-store shopping where I could just grab another size wasn't an option. These feelings led to becoming absorbed in trying to alter my body through endless diets and exercise as a teenager, never happy with the results. One day, during my senior year of high school, after eating a big piece of delicious homemade chocolate cake my family had won at my town's annual Halloween carnival, I decided to purge, just this once, I told myself. Of course, that was only the beginning, and for the following 10 years I struggled, mostly in secret, with bulimia. Sometimes my purging would happen multiple times a week, where I would spend too much of my day in shame on my knees in the bathroom. Sometimes my purging took the form of exercise, where I would run longer and longer distances. Always I wished I was smaller. For a long time, I knew I needed help, but I never felt sick enough to pursue it, and money was also a barrier. In my mind, treatment was for people far sicker than me, or those who had wealthy parents who could just pay for it. I convinced myself I had to recover alone. So, although I'd have days, weeks, and even months of doing well, my behaviors were always present. Instead of addressing my emotions, I would channel my energy into restriction, and when the raw hunger would inevitably arise from months of dieting and overexercising, I would turn to binging and purging, further punishing myself and only worsening my problems. In 2019, during a particularly low point, I realized that maybe it was time to get help. I decided to start seeing a therapist who didn't have experience with eating disorder patients, but was covered by my insurance and therefore was one I could afford. In one of our first few sessions, she suggested something that would change my life: to consider joining an eating disorder recovery group. Intrigued by such a simple idea, I jumped on Google and found Rock Recovery's Breaking Bread program. Close to my apartment, Rock offered sliding scale pay, an important factor for me, and I didn't feel like a burden when I asked for financial help. Instead, it was simply another step in the application, thanks to the program's generous donors. Rock was the turning point for me. It gave me a group to help me stay accountable, feel less alone, and think of recovery finally as something in reach. Among many valuable lessons, the group taught me what normal meals looked like, how normal fullness felt, and how to process emotions I had felt that week with kindness instead of judgment. Rock motivated me not only because other group members showed recovery was possible, but also because I felt when I worked hard and showed progress, I could demonstrate to others that this was possible as well. Through Rock, I was encouraged to see a therapist who specializes in eating disorders, and to start seeing a psychiatrist who diagnosed me with anxiety and depression. I learned that my love of long-distance running was perhaps just another form of restriction. I learned to face my feelings head-on instead of using behaviors to avoid them. I learned to focus on what truly matters instead of a number on the scale or the size of my jeans. I learned, and I'm still learning, to love myself instead of focusing on my flaws. Although my time at Rock was relatively short, it was a fundamental stepping stone in my recovery. Today, I can proudly say it's been more than 2 years since I've engaged in my bulimia. Last October, my boyfriend and I vacationed in Rome, where I had studied abroad my sophomore year in college exactly 10 years prior. 10 years ago, I would force myself to go on long runs in the same park every weekend. This time, I didn't even pack workout clothes. 10 years ago, although I was living in a country known for its amazing food, I would carefully watch and limit everything I ate. This time, I ate what I wanted when I wanted, and didn't think twice about it. By no means am I perfect. When I look in the mirror, I don't always love what I see, and when a piece of clothing fits strangely, sometimes I wonder if it would fit better if I were just a few pounds smaller. But I remind myself that being perfect isn't the answer, and that it's better to be imperfect and diving into the deep, big ocean of life and all it has to offer than stuck wading in the shallow waters of my eating disorder. I will forever be grateful to Rock for showing me that a full, rich, and meaningful life is possible, and for helping me live that life today. Thank you.